Hello, team. Welcome to our Friday Connection Community Call. I'm so excited for today. I really got a lot out of our conversation last week. And so I'm excited for this week and seeing how you guys feel about this conversation coming up. So a funny thing, so this week, just on Instagram and social media and stuff like that, you just kind of get like a general feel sometimes of what the topic of conversation is, whether it be like a fad diet or a way of exercise and just kind of like what the topic of conversation is for the week or what it seemed like to me. And what that was for me was cardio, like people asking about certain amount of steps that they should be getting in a day, asking about how much cardio they should do, cardio being in so much excess in workouts and exercise. And I think it's just because the lack of education that has been involved in this industry, and not saying that I have all the answers to it, but it was just it was a good way to have a topic for this Friday call. So that is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about what 10,000 steps, why that's even the number. Sorry, I worked out after the video workout today too. So I just looking in fine form for you all today. But anyways, crap, I lost my train of thought. Anyways, so we're going to talk about cardio. What does 10,000 steps mean? The different types of cardio and what cardio you should be doing for the different phases of your journey and your fitness goals. You should be able to, hold on one sec. Let's get some more friends in here. Awesome. Hello. Welcome, friend. Oh, here we go. He's getting in here. Hold on just a second, friends. Hello, my friend.
Morning.
How are you?
Awesome.
Good. So I was just kind of doing this like a little introduction, so I'll kind of just hop right in here so we can get to stepping. So today we're going to be talking about like what 10,000 steps, what cardio means, all of that good stuff. So I'm going to share my screen really fast so you can see my little presentation. And let's see, we can go to that view. All righty. So I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that, Brent?
It's a little small, but I'll get close.
Okay. So we are going to be talking about how much cardio we should do in our lives to depending on the different journey that we're on. And so what is cardio? So cardio is short for cardiovascular. So cardiovascular exercising is a way for us anytime that we do an activity that increases our heart rate, our breathing, our respiration, and raises oxygen and blood flow throughout our body, which is really, really important. And so the larger muscles, when they're in repetitive or in rhythmic movement, that's how we increase our blood flow. Cardio is very, it challenges it sends like signals and challenges to our organs. And so that is kind of a really key important thing to remember, is that when we are putting a consistent amount of exercise or activity onto our body, it puts pressure onto our heart, our lungs, and just our circulatory system. But obviously cardio is a very important aspect into our daily life, and it improves all sorts of aspects into our health, and it improves, our heart health, our mental health, mood, sleep, weight regulation, metabolism, inflammation, regularity, and just a ton of other hormone balances and all sorts of things. And so it's really important for us to have it. But the question of the day is how much cardio are we supposed to actually be having in our day, in our week, and throughout our life. So let me move my face all over the place here because of my screen. So LISS. So some people have you heard the difference of what like LISS cardio is, Brent, versus HIIT cardio? Have you heard those two terms before?
I haven't heard the list. I've heard the HIIT, the high intensity interval training or whatever.
Yep, exactly. Good job. So yeah, LISS is just the lower intensity part of it. So lower intensity sustained state. So benefits or different things about LISS is that it's just a constant steady output. So this is just like walking at a flat pace or riding a bike at a very flat road, and you're just kind of maintaining this pace for a very low output. Usually they run for longer durations, so anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour or more. So this is where, runners like to stay, like, if you're just kind of just jogging at a nice steady pace, you can do this at a pretty long time. You don't have to increase your heart rate too much. You're just at this steady state. Obviously, it's a lower intensity level. If you're targeting heart rate, it's about 40 to 60% of your heart rate. So it's just a little bit over half of your max heart rate. Typically, it should be like 120 to 150 beats per minute, which is that's a good steady pace to sustain for a longer period of time. It really improves your aerobic endurance. So this, when we practice low intensity, this actually gives us longevity, especially for you, Brent, for a hiker. This is what's really important for you to maintain those hikes, and so that you can do them for long periods of time, is just continuously doing them for extended periods of time. And over time, it'll help you. It burns the minimalist amount of calories after your session is over. So when we are done exercising, we continue to burn calories. We're always burning calories, even when we're just sitting down and breathing. But, when we take our threshold up a little bit, we continue to burn calories. We just don't burn as many calories after a LISS workout, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. It's just you're not burning as many calories compared to a HIIT workout. This, it doesn't promote muscle growth. Cardio it's just for your lungs and your circulatory system, your heart and stuff, but it doesn't really promote muscle growth. It can actually do the opposite if you're doing too much. It's not ripping the muscles and creating protein synthesis when you're eating protein and growing muscles. It's not really doing anything with them. But it does, help you lose fat, which is if you're in a calorie deficit. We kind of talked about that a little bit last week. When you're in a calorie deficit and you're in a low intensity state, you can burn more calories on top of that deficit. So high intensity training is the literally complete opposite. So you are doing short spurts with so high output with lower rest output. So usually the duration is supposed to be between 6 to 15 minutes. Nowadays, we're doing an hour of a cycling class. We're doing an hour of step aerobics. We're doing an hour of, and those are all considered high intensity classes. So you're putting a lot of stress on your body for a long period of time, when really we should be only doing that for a short amount of time. It's not bad. It's not bad to do that every once in a while, but if someone's doing it 5 days a week, that can put a lot of extra stress on our body and increase cortisol and other hormones that can over time actually hinder our performance and hinder our goals. So the target heart rate is generally between 80 and 95%. So that's almost to our maximum heart rate. And so when we're like petering out at like max capacity, that's why we want to do this for such a short amount of time. So usually it's the threshold of your heart rate is about 150 to 175. That's pretty high. It's good. But staying there for a long time can be strenuous on the body. But it does improve your aerobic and anaerobic endurance. So that's positive. And this is what I was talking about before. After you're done working out, you're still continuing to burn calories. You're burning calories within up to 24 hours after your session. So we'll get into this topic a different day, and I talked about TDEE in last week. And so that's going to kind of all run together. That's going to be a big science conversation for a different day. We'll have to break that down over a few weeks. It's a lot of information, but it's helpful. This can help you build muscle. This is bringing short, this is when it's in high intensity, you're generally doing like jump squats, or you're sprinting, or you're pulling on the muscle. So there is some ripping in the muscle. So then you will be able to help build that muscle, So it's definitely more taxing on the body and require breaks between every 3 to 5 weeks. So, people can do high intensity exercises, 2 to 3 days a week for a month. There should be some sort of break where we kind of just like, okay, I'm going to give my body some good rest so that it's not just straining all the time. So rest is very important, and rest is really, really beneficial for our muscles and our bodies to recover so that we can come back into that and do it again better and improve. Eventually there's a plateau stage when you're continuing to be just at this high state. You don't see much improvement. And that's just because your body is saying, I'm done. You've worked me a little bit too hard. I'm done. I can only go so far. Now I need to kind of reset so that I can go back and do what you want me to do. And again, this also does help you burn fat if you are in a calorie deficit as well, just like the low intensity does. Any questions, comments, concerns, or anything so far? Anything confusing so far?
No. One thing, you have a pop-up screen blocking your slideshow.
Pop-up screen. What's that? What's it say?
I don't know. It's presenter window. Maybe it's on my end, but
oh, whoops.
No, it's on yours.
It's
on your end.
Let's try this really fast. We'll stop that. Oh, got it. Oh, that's weird. Here, we'll just do regular standard view. Oh, because it's trying to tell me that like on my PowerPoint, it was showing me like different options to present it. Here, we'll do it that way. Bada bing, that works. It's a little bit smaller, but I'll enhance it a little bit. Okay, so that's high intensity. Okay, so cardio is dependent on goals. So kind of last week with nutrition, we talked a little bit about different phases of how we supplement macros and how we adjust those numbers depending on the phases that we're in. So are we trying to lose weight? Are we trying to maintain weight? Or are we trying to be, gain muscle? And so cardio plays that same exact role. What goal are you trying to accomplish? And how can you utilize tools to accomplish those goals? Cardio is a tool that you can use to accomplish a goal. So in the cutting phase, this means a calorie deficit. You're under your calories, you're trying to cut fat, you're trying to lose weight. So more cardio can be programmed into your routine to increase the calorie deficit. So again, when we're in a calorie deficit, we're only doing this for a short amount of times. We should only be in a calorie deficit for like 3 months, 3 to 6 months max. That's kind of that's a pretty long time to be in a calorie deficit. And I'd almost say 3 to 4 months max. Honestly, I would say 6 months would almost be pushing it too much. Because then your body is going under too much stress. So when you're doing a lot of intense things to it, your body will tend to start break down at a hormonal level, and that can kind of just mess with some things over time. But so cardio, we want to make sure that we're doing it for a short amount of time to accomplish the goal. Then we can go into what's called a maintenance phase. In a maintenance phase, you can still have cardio, but it's more about your daily activities and your daily movement. So that's where we get into like, our goal is to be around 7,000 to 10,000 steps. Actually, anywhere between 7,000 and 12,000 steps is optimal. You don't have to always get that 10 to 12,000 steps, but the 7,000 is kind of like that sweet spot to where you're kind of getting up and moving around. You're above the sedentary lifestyle. You're even above lightly active. And so That's really important to be able to keep up with your daily activity, but also put some intention into your activity. Sometimes this is a challenge. It's a challenge for people to get into that 7 to 10,000 steps, but Brent's a superstar. He gets in the way higher, steps, which is great. But over for a certain amount.
8,000.
What's that?
But I'm already at 8,000.
Oh God, it's only 8. Oh, good gravy. And that's okay. And then some people have jobs that really require them to be on their feet and moving around a lot more, or just are very active in life, so that's good. But then another day we're going to talk about how important rest is and we're going to really deep dive into rest, and just making sure that because everyone hears the word balance. What does that mean? How do you have balance in your life? And so learning these different aspects is using these tools to create the balance for you in your world. And so and then in the bulking phase, so say if someone wants to bulk up, they're trying to gain muscle. So like we kind of just said before, in the LISS training aspect of it, it's not going to help with muscle growth. So we don't do a lot of cardio, but if we're going to do any cardio when we're bulking, it's low intensity, steady state. So, steps are still encouraged. That 7 to 10,000 range is where you want to stay when you're trying to gain some muscle. But, maintaining some cardio can help with lifting. It can help with that aerobic capacity so that you can exert bigger pushes and more PRs and stuff, so that you can have more energy, so that blood flow is still stimulating. So some cardio is good, but it's very, very, very minimal in the bulking phase. And just ask questions anytime you have questions. Okay. How do I go the next slide? All right. So what's with the 10,000 steps? Like, why does this even matter? Why? It's kind of just based off of mileage. And so that's kind of a more simplistic way to be able to reach a certain goal, and kind of on the average of above average of a sedentary lifestyle. So for example, we took a 180 pound person walking 1 mile a day. So 1 mile a day is roughly about 100 calories burned. So so about 1 mile is roughly around 2,000 steps in a day. So the average person strides, if you're taller or you're shorter, it's going to vary a little bit, but it ranges between 2.1 to 2.5 feet. So for simple, easy numbers, 10K, 10,000 step is roughly 5 miles a day. 12K is roughly 6 miles a day. So that's just kind of based off of the average, and just kind of like a baseline. And then we can go up and down from there. And so the difference between, come on, computer. The difference between a sedentary versus an active person, we'll look at like calories. What does that mean? So we kind of talked about calorie expenditure of being in a deficit, and how it's so important to be able to put steps into your day, intentional steps. So let's just say, for example, a sedentary person is walking about 2,000 steps a day. So again, that's roughly 100 calories in a day that they're burning just from their steps. An active person, intentionally walking roughly about 12,000 steps in a day is going to burn 600 calories. So the active person is burning 500 more calories, that which then equals in a week is 3,500. And that's the sweet spot number for people to be when you're in a calorie deficit, to lose about a pound a week. And that's half a pound to a pound a week is what we want to lose on average, to keep it so that you sustain it for long periods of time. So when we're losing weight, really fast, it could be an accumulation of different things. Or when we're, increasing weight for different things, especially women who have hormones, obviously we all do, our weight fluctuates so much. And so that's kind of a very very good baseline to just go off of for the average person is just losing that one. When you're trying to lose weight, is that 3,500 calorie deficit in an entire week, 7 days a week. That's about roughly 1 pound a week. So basically what I'm trying to get at is that you want to be very intentional with your steps, and you want to be intentional with your movement, and you want to be able to do what is best for you and your body. And when you listen to your body, are you doing too much? Are you doing too little? Are you just hitting in that sweet spot? And then once you figure out those goals, or figure out that, then you can go based off of your goals. Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to maintain your weight? And then are you trying to gain weight? Based off of that, how much cardio, with in addition to the macros that we kind of talked about last week. So now we have 2 tools that we can use to help us in the different phases of our goals. And so we want to really be intentional about what we're doing, so that we're not just in this habitual movement of staying still or being extremely active and not taking any rest. So there is a balance between everything to accomplish goals. And there is a sweet spot that we always want to try and find for that person. And that's what I do for my clients, is individually, we will find what that sweet spot is for them. So, we have to kind of play around with it a little bit to be like, okay, you're going to lose weight a little bit, then we're going to find that sweet spot. Then once we find that sweet spot, then we're going to go back to what your maintenance is. And then we're going to find that sweet spot. And then they get to choose. What do you want? Do you want to lose weight again? Or do you want to be able to gain a little bit muscle and then kind of then go back down? So it's kind of just a different game that you need to play with, depending on what your goals are. And if you're wanting to maintain and stay here, then that's perfectly fine. But cardio is just such an what's the word I'm looking for? Just an over exercised exercise. It's utilized so much that, people want to just add cardio. And then they wonder why they can't gain muscle, or they can't lose as much weight as they'd like to, because of the amount of stress that they're putting on their body consistently. And so it's like, where can we find that sweet spot? So for some, how do we get 10,000 steps in a day? And Brett, you'd be a great person to be able to add into this, but you do a lot. So what are your ways that you get your steps in?
I play basketball 3 days a week for an hour. So that's why I have 8,000 before 8 o'clock. So I played this morning.
Yeah.
But I hike a lot, elliptical.
Mm-hmm.
I don't run too much. I try to run every once in a while, but now that I start playing basketball, I count that as my running. So I don't do too much running other than basketball.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then for like, not for anyone, or for people that are not here right now, but my golfers, they walk well over 10,000 steps in it, for one round of golf. And so if they have an active lifestyle on top of that, whether they're working at the golf course or they're my husband's a teacher, so he's walking around while he's teaching. And so that's another like sport where people are walking tons. But if sports are not your thing, how do we get in 10,000 steps in a day? So 10,000 steps takes roughly about 75 to 90 minutes of walking in a day. So, if you don't have time to walk for, an hour and a half, how can you break it up? So breaking that up, either, 4 times a day, 3 times a day, 2 times a day, or, I gave some tips here. You can start. One way to really help start this is start early in the day. Like if you start early in the day, the easier it's going to be for you to get those steps in, so that you're not at night going, gosh, dang it, I have 5,000 more steps I have to do. And it's 8 o'clock at night. And then you're walking for an hour, so how can you start earlier in your day, whether it's going on a walk in the morning, playing basketball in the morning, playing golf in the morning, or, taking a couple laps around your house, or, going out and watering your plants, or, getting up and moving early in the morning is a great way. Another gal I know, she has a farm. And so I'm sure she's going out to the cattle and feeding the cat, or taking care of her cows and getting her steps in that way. Another great thing for folks who have sedentary jobs, set an alarm. This is something that I started doing as soon as I had a sedentary job. I would set an alarm on my phone for every hour. It got annoying for sure, but it was very helpful. One, for brain stimulation, and two, it helped me actually focus a lot more on my job. Um, I would have a hard time staying focused for hours on end. And so I would set an alarm every hour and I would work for 45, 50 minutes of true intention. And then I would go take a lap around the building, 10 minutes, 5, 10 minutes. I would take a lap around the building and I would just feel better. I'd feel like my blood's flowing. It's getting up to my brain. It's stimulating myself so that I can actually think. If I was not able to focus and I was thinking about other things, I would go and do that walk and think about the thing that was consuming my brain and then let it go and get back to work. And so I know people that have a challenge with that, with a sitting, like a desk job. That's a really great, useful tool. And everyone has a cell phone to do that. And, we don't, unless it's like an intense project that you're working on and you know that you're going to be able to spend more time on it, how can you take little breaks and be more effective, not only in your job, but also in your health as well? And then good old fashioned, take the long way, park the furthest away, take the stairs, don't take the elevators, make an effort to go the long route in any situation, whether it's being in a hike, whether it's being, oh gosh, just anything, like I love the parking lot thing. I usually like to park, or I encourage people to park in the furthest, safest spot that they can and walk around, around the grocery store and walk, Costco, if they can park for us, by the gas pumps, the farthest parking spot away, the better. And those are just easy ways to get in mindlessly, getting those steps in. So keep it simple, do what you can with intention. So do what you can with what you've got always, but do what you can with intention, because you can only do it so much. But if you actually put more focus and intention to it, it's going to be easier and also going to be a lot more effective. So there you go. There's your topic on cardio, cardio 101. There's lots more to it, but any questions or any comments or concerns or anything at all?
Not really.
Not really. Pretty simple, right? Pretty simple. I know it's a topic that it's always like go all the time. And it's like, we don't really have to. There's not really a necessity to do it all the time. It may feel good, or it may release endorphins, but again, there's everything in moderation, right? We always have to doing everything in excess is not necessarily the good thing all the time. And that can be in our health, especially. So making sure that we're really listening to our bodies, we're really taking good care of ourselves and listening to what our body's telling us, because our bodies are pretty amazing. They really know what we need, and we like to think about it more than we feel. So that's my little tidbit for you guys today. I hope you guys have a super great day.
You too.
Thank you. We'll see you later. Okay. You have any questions or anything? You're good?
All right.
All right. We're
Yeah,
good. Okay, cool. All right. Peace out, guys. I'll see you later.
See ya.
Bye.